All right, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. This is, I believe, our fourth webinar in this series, if I'm not mistaken. This is a webinar series about Brook by Rosie AI. And today I'm very excited to bring to you a feature showcase about here are the features. All right, are you ready? AI texting, outbound calling, payments, and more. Make sure you stick around to see what the and more part is. I'm also very excited to introduce our amazing guest for today, Laurie Michelson, who is the owner of Hair Cult and Aveda Concept Salon in Hoboken, New Jersey, which has been around since 1988. How about that? And Hair Cult was envisioned as a space to experience beauty and wellness with a hip and positive vibe, which I really think, Laurie, your branding reflects that. It's cool, it's edgy, as you can see from your pictures as well. And I'm just so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So before we go into the Q&A, I am going to do two things. I'm going to go into a little bit of a refresher, especially if people who are joining us for the first time, just to talk about what Brook is. And then I'll talk about those new features. And then we can hear some of Laurie's actual experiences with using Brook in her salon. So, if you're here in the audience, you probably know about the challenges. You've probably faced them too, because these are challenges faced by pretty much every salon or spa. The first thing is front desk overwhelm. It's like you're trying to give a luxury experience in person, right? You're trying to check people in and out, you're trying to uphold the brand, and then the phone rings. And so it's almost like it can feel like you don't have enough hands to do the tasks that need to get done, and that creates this overwhelm. And a lot of what happens in those moments is calls get missed. Calls also get missed when you're closed or holidays, things like that. And a lot of those missed calls are leading to lost bookings, right? We all know this. What do we want to do about it? One of the things that a lot of us do is use voicemail, right? Voicemail, I feel like, is kind of on its way out. Even as a user myself, I often don't want to leave a voicemail. So, like, if I'm calling your business, I may be like, oh, I don't know if I want to leave that message. Even when your clients do leave a message, it almost creates more work, if anything, for your front desk team to listen back to those messages, get back to people. How do you track that? Things like that. It's all very challenging. So, this was kind of the space of problems that we were trying to solve for when we thought about developing an AI assistant for the salon and spa space. So, what happens when you have Brook as part of your team? So, Brook can be really transformative in your day to day operations because Brook is a 24/7 AI receptionist. So, for starters, no client is ever missed. So everybody gets instant responses all the time, whether you're open or closed, it doesn't matter. And I'm not even just talking about phone calls anymore. I'm talking about clients texting you, clients chatting with you on your website, and also, of course, the people who are still calling you on the phone. Everybody has the opportunity to be greeted instantaneously because Brook is kind of always there as a standby for you. Now we get asked this question a lot, like, okay, so Brooke is an AI. Does the AI just take a message or is she actually doing the thing? Like if someone's calling to make a booking, what happens? And actually, I'm happy to let you know, especially if you're new here, you might not know this. Brooke actually plugs into your booking platform. And so if someone's calling to make a booking, that booking gets made. You can see it pop up in real time in your platform. Now, we already had an integration with Forest and Mevo, but I'm happy to announce that we are now live with Salon Biz as well. So it doesn't even matter which of the platforms you're using. These are the big ones. Forest, Mevo, Salon Biz, Brook is available for you on all of these three platforms. Now, again, this one's important to me is we can pretty much eliminate voicemail altogether because you don't really need to have people leave voicemails anymore. The conversations with Brooke, especially on the phone, but even over text, they just kind of happen organically. So, whatever the client is saying to you, whatever that engagement is, we transcribe all of that and put it into a dashboard for you to review. It's pretty easy to use. And, there's a peace of mind in knowing that you don't have to listen back to the audio and things like that. You can kind of just quickly scan through things in the dashboard. And what we found in speaking to salons and spas who do use Brook is that this can really help to free up your team so that they can, focus on the people that are in front of them, focus on guests in the salon or spa, and they can, choose to deal with follow-ups and things like that when they have the time. So it helps with time management and prioritization. Now we've had some real results. What do those look like? A 65% reduction in calls that require your attention, a jump in revenue, a reduction up to zero in voicemails, right? So Brook can be really transformative. And because of that, we've heard, a number of positive things from our customers. So one that's really important to me is the front desk feeling supported, a sense of calm, a serenity zone that Brooke is able to provide by, taking away a lot of that chaos feeling, right? We've also heard positive reviews of our AI's actual performance. So, like I said, it plugs into your software and it does the task and stuff, but it's also important to get it right in terms of how the AI is interacting. Like, what are the words it's saying? How does it sound? How do your clients perceive this? So we've got positive reviews there as well from people who really know what they're talking about. And a lot of people were surprised. A lot of people are skeptical about AI, but Brooke has been able to really convince our clients that you can actually deliver a really good customer experience with a tool like Brooke. We've also heard some good things about people who are currently using the dashboard. And one of those things is it saves us so much time. It's very simple, right? That was our goal. We want to save time. We want to make this easier. We wanted Brooke to be kind of a supplement to the front desk, and it looks like we've made some progress there. Now, of course, everything isn't roses all the time. We do hear feedback in the other direction too, and we get a lot of feature requests too. And feature requests are literally like, can you make Brooke do this thing that would be really transformative for my business? You don't have it. What are you going to do about it? And so we take pride in being really fast to action on these kinds of requests. And we're a startup, and so it's in our interest to stay current. So if you bring us feature requests, more than likely we're going to build that out for you. And 6 weeks later, we've launched it. So this happens a lot. And we've heard some good things about that as well. So, since I've tooted our own horn quite a bit, if that's enough to pique your interest, we are offering a free trial. You could sign up for that with this QR code right here. But if you're still on the fence, that's okay too. You're welcome to go to our website, iambrooke.com, and kind of check us out there. There's a lot of other stuff here that we won't be able to get to today. For example, videos of Brooke in action doing, the basic tasks. Like, so you can get familiar with how the AI actually works and how it sounds to your clients. Now, I want to move on quickly to the actual new features. So, AI texting is the first one. What does that even mean? So, before I get into it, I want to put this number on the screen. This is the number for our demo salon where you can text Brooke. If you're on the call right now and if you have your phone in your hand, text this number. You can text anything, but just to keep it simple right now, just say hi. Keep it quick. I want to show you how instantaneous that response is. So you can text Brooke right now and get a response immediately. And there's really something to be said for how impactful that can be to your client who gets a response like the second they text. Now, one of the things that we've launched recently is, Brooke was always doing texting. It's been a while, but we've enhanced this because of feature requests from our current customers. So now, if you say if you're texting Brooke right now, you can try this out. You can say, "Can I talk to a person?" And similar to what happens on the call, these texts actually come into your dashboard. Let me just show you real quick what that looks like on the dashboard side. um, Kate, you're seeing my dashboard, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now let's switch gears a little bit. Pretend I am a receptionist. I'm clocking in for the day. This is what my Brook dashboard looks like. And this is what it looks like when text messages come in. You'll see there's a bunch of these light messages. These are actually intentionally light colored. It's like this is the stuff where Brooke has already been talking to whoever texted. So somebody texted, hi, Brooke responded immediately. And then if they say, can I talk to a person, please, or anything of that nature, this text came into the dashboard, and now I can actually respond here. Uh, Hi, this is Jyoti. It's a little bit hard to show you the other end of this, but I am actually sending this. This should ding here in just a second. Okay, so what we're doing here is, all right, I just got that text. What we're doing here is we've improved our texting solution. If you're a current customer of Brook, you know that this looks a little bit different. We now have two-way texting. So for people can text you, get that instant response, and then you can respond from here. That was kind of already present in various forms, but the dashboard looks a lot better now. In addition, now you can also do like really the opposite, which is if you want to text a client, you can do it from here. So this is a new SMS button right here. You can enter someone's phone number, enter their name, and this will pull up the actual client from your booking platform, and then you can text them right from here. So this is something we heard from our customers, and they said, we don't want to just be able to respond to clients when they text us. We want to be able to proactively send out texts to them. So that is our first feature. Again, let me go back if I can, just a second, to my slides, and you're welcome to text this number. Oops. All right, hold on. Okay, yes. So you are welcome to text this number. This number is also on our website. You can call it, you can text it, try Brook out. So AI texting was the first feature I wanted to showcase where we know that clients are wanting to communicate with you over text, right? And what we want to do again with Brook is just have Brook handle most of the text. So when people are texting with Brook, again, they can do all of the things. They can book their appointments. They can look up when is my upcoming appointment, and it's going to look them up based on the number they're texting from and so on. So it's a very smart process, and we hope to really save your time and have a lot of the simple stuff automated away, right? That's the goal. Now, let me move on to the next feature. So I wanted to talk today about outbound dialing. Outbound dialing is basically using Brook to actually make calls. Now, what does that look like? So, in conversation with a number of salons and spas, we've kind of thought about three specific use cases here. I'm going to actually read this from right to left because I think it's easier that way. So what I want to show you here is you can actually have Brook make calls on your behalf automatically. So here's one example. You're a service provider, a stylist, a massage therapist, someone at your business is unexpectedly out for a day. Let's say they called in sick or something. Maybe they're telling you that they can't be there on some particular day next week. What you can do is you can select the date that they're going to be away. Let's say they're going to be away on Tuesday, the 1st of September, and you're like, oh no, what do I do? They've got 7 appointments that day. Now I'm going to have to call back all of those 7 people and say, hey, this person, let's say Jennifer's out. Could I please help you reschedule because Jennifer's not going to be able to make it? Instead of doing that manually, what you can do here is just select. You see, you can select the date and the stylist or the provider, which will be populated. This list will come from your booking platform, and you can just say called in sick or whatever. And when you hit start calling, this is going to read automatically who are the affected people. So, who are the clients who have appointments with Jennifer that day, and call all of them. Bing, bang, boom. No more manual work for you. Another very similar situation is what if your business the whole business, like you have to close for a day and it's not a day you're normally closed, right? Let's say, I don't know, there's a snowstorm, there's a hurricane, or something normal, like you have to close because you want to train your team. So it's like a training day or something. Again, you can select the date that you're going to be closed, and then you can provide the reason here and just hit start calling. And so there's a whole bunch of info here too. Like Brooke retrieves a list of appointments on that affected date and calls each client, right? So this can be really transformative in reducing all that manual effort. By the way, I want to just say, if you saw little pop-ups coming in, those are, I think people are actually texting right now. So let me see if I can get to those notifications in a moment. But I want to just wrap up here. As far as what Brooke can do in terms of outbound calling, this one is, I think, very exciting. Upcoming appointment confirmation. So I know a lot of y'all are sending text messages 48 hours before, right? And some of your clients do confirm their appointments, some don't. And it's always kind of been like that. And so you have to maybe wait till 24 hours before and then see who hasn't confirmed via text, and then you have to kind of call them manually. Let's say you've got, 10, 15, 20 unconfirmed appointments. You can actually have Brooke make all of those calls again just by hitting save here. And then this would happen every single day. So imagine if you had to teach your receptionist, right? Like, okay, so every day I want you to look, about one day in advance, 24 hours in advance, see who has unconfirmed appointments, and then call them one by one. That is exactly what you can do here with just one setting. How far in advance do you want Brooke to call clients to get confirmation? You hit save, and that's it. You set it and forget it. Brooke will call your clients every single day if they're unconfirmed. So there's potentially massive amounts of work that can be reduced here. These are all beta features. I would love to hear any feedback about this. If you think of other use cases, things like that, these are all constantly in development. So if you have suggestions, put them in the chat too. That would be great. So that was outbound calling. Now, let me go back to my slides for a second here. Now, I want to also briefly mention payments. So, if you've been with us for some time, or if you're new, payments has been a bit of a sticking point, right? So, we are noticing in this industry, a lot of owners are moving towards stricter policies, right? You don't want to have no shows. If you have a no show, you want to have the client's card on file, or you want a deposit. So they know you mean business. They can't mess around with your schedules. They are going to be penalized. And this is really to protect yourself, right? So what we've done is we've been able to have Brooke handle payments as well. So what happens is, let's say I'm talking to Brooke on the phone, I'm making my appointment, Brooke has made the appointment, and at the end, Brooke will say, just so you know, I'm sending you a payment link, and you're going to have to make that payment within the next 1 hour in order to secure that appointment. And let me show you really quick what that looks like in the dashboard. I keep coming back to the dashboard because I think this is so easy. So let me see. Here we go. Okay, so payment during booking. Here's the feature. Oh, by the way, let me pause for a second. Did you hear that and did you see that? That is a new follow-up. So I'm going to come to that in just a second. So with the dashboard, a lot of things are really easy. Even if you've been using the dashboard for some time, you'll see that a lot of things have become easier as we've developed these new features. So with payment, it's so easy to turn this on. You can just check one box, literally one box, payment enabled. And this enables all of those things I said, right? That the caller is going to get this text and they're also going to get an email just to be safe, right? We don't know what they have on file and so on. And they will get this a secure link where they can either make the payment, enter their credit card information, whatever is required. And then you can set this to auto cancel the appointment on link expiry, so that really you can gatekeep a little bit if you want to. Like if people don't make the payment within 1 hour, that appointment is just going to go away because you really want them to commit, right? And so this is so easy. Now, since that notification popped up, I want to show you a little quick thing about our follow-up section. The follow-up section is really what that notification is about. It tells you, hey, someone contacted you and probably they asked to speak to you or something like that. We don't know. Let's see. So this is somebody just called in. Now, I don't know what the call was about. Let me see. Here's a transcript button. I can actually look and see exactly what happened, right? So I can review every single interaction here. And I know that Kate, who's helping out with the presentation, made this call. So this is not scripted, guys. Like this just happened in the background here. So this is how real life happens, right? People call you, you can get that notification within a few seconds of the call ending and review things here. Once you're done with, I don't know, maybe you call them back after a few hours, you ask them what happened, how can you help them? You can add a note here and you can mark this as done as well. Just going to do a quick one there. And then this goes to follow up done. So this is some stuff we've also changed in the appearance of the dashboard, and we hope that this is helpful to people as we hear your feedback and we, keep improving. Now, I want to share another. So this is the, like I mentioned, right? What was the and more section, right? There was AI texting, outbound calling, payments, and more. This is something I want to credit Laurie with. Laurie Michelson, our guest today, was directly responsible for giving us this feedback. And the story was, look, my salon needs to close sometimes, or whatever, right? You want to close on an odd day when you're not normally closed, or you have some other important information that you want to give to your callers on every single call. And previously, if you wanted to do that kind of announcement, you had to essentially send me or my team an email, and then we would make some changes under the hood, and then we would tell you like, okay, is it done, can you test it out? And there was a whole painful back and forth process. So what we've done now, and again, I just have to switch my screen for a second here. What we've done is we've provided owners and managers, basically anyone who's a dashboard admin, now gets to see this section called business configuration. One of the cool things you can do in here is this announcement. So what we're trying to do is make this stuff really easy for you. So all you need to do is add an announcement that Brooke should mention during conversations. You can say things like, there's a sample text in here. We have a special offer for new guests this month. Just this week, we had a special announcement for one of the salons we're active with, where one of their locations was closed for renovations or something like that. So they just added it in here, and that was it. You just, hit save, and that's all you have to do. So we're trying to make these things very easy. You can do a lot with this dashboard. That's probably going to be another webinar. But yeah, these are our exciting new features. And just to wrap that up and move on to the Q&A, I want to leave you with uh, let me see. Here we go. Let me just put that on the screen again. One second. Here we are. Yeah, if you are, oops, yeah. If you're ready to start your free trial, please go ahead and scan that QR code. Do go and check out our website, iambrook.com as well. Now, I wanna move on to just welcoming Laurie. Laurie, thank you for that feedback that helped us build that feature. And
Oh, you're so
yeah,
welcome.
it's good to have you. How's it going? How's
It's
your day
going
going?
great. Thank you so much.
Right. Awesome. So, Laurie, I wanted to ask you just sort of like an open-ended question, because I feel like our audience would really resonate with your experience. So, let me just ask you this to get us warmed up. Like, when you decided to get started with Brooke, what was kind of your thought process?
So I saw Brooke through Imaginal Marketing, my girl that I adore, Ryan. Um, and she recommended doing a trial. So we did a trial for a couple of weeks, um, a few months ago. And I was hoping that, sometimes when the front desk walks away, we miss calls or on weekends. So we tested it out. I really loved it. And one of the things as an owner, because as we know, the front desk is one of those difficult positions to keep filled. It's a challenge for all of us. Um, so one of the things that made me really excited was I thought, wow, okay, if I lose my front desk, this is going to be actually kind of amazing. But at the time, the cost of it just didn't make sense for us because I had a great front desk person who I
Hmm.
paid probably more than I should have been paying in our market, but whatever, that's what we do sometimes. So we didn't do it. Even though Jyoti, you were great in giving me many options. But a few months later, when my front desk girl decided to leave, I was kind of like, okay. And that was when I called you. And instead of having Brooke work on days that I did have somebody at the desk or didn't have somebody at the desk, I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna have her answer all the calls because she did such a great job in those 2 weeks of that trial. And I loved her voice. People thought she was me, actually. They really had no idea they were talking
Oh.
to AI. I mean, she does tell you when she answers that she is an AI assistant. But people were kind of like, is that you? Was that you? So that was kind of cool. But she's just been really great for us. And I think, like I did send out a survey. We sent out an email letting people know through Forest. Some of my team were like, oh, people don't like it. And the great thing about the transcript was those clients that sort of had certain complaints initially, you could read through the transcript and say, okay, well, they were upset because they couldn't get an appointment, not because
Oh.
of AI. It's just they called the salon and actually the front desk told them the same thing. That time was not available.
Hmm.
So it's great to have the transcript to read back. Um, Jyoti just informed me yesterday that there is a little secret area where we can see all of the transcripts, which is great, and that's very helpful as well. Um, so we sent out a survey just asking our guests, what don't you like? What do you like? I think the most common thing people don't like is it's AI and they're talking to a robot. Um, but in those instances, I just let those people know that if you want to speak to a real person, you simply just say to her, I want to speak to the front desk, and she immediately puts you through if we are open.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they're fine with that.
Hmm.
But what they love is that, and what I love is that she answers on the second ring, which is amazing, and you'd think is like duh, but it's not duh. Um, she's always in a great mood. She knows your name. Um, and yeah, I appreciate that whenever I have a challenge, you are very quick to either help with it or it's usually something that's already happening that I just didn't know is happening. Um, you know, and I just really look forward to things getting better and better. Uh, I'd love to be able to, and I think I have to have a separate menu for this, but having Brooke upsell,
Hmm.
like I can book you with a haircut, but especially like a new stylist who's not busy, setting up a menu of upsells or add-ons, however, we can talk about how I would word that, but
Hmm.
where, Brooke can say, you're booked for a haircut, but Juan has the time to do a botanical treatment or a gloss. Would you be open to that? And I think that could be even more amazing, you know.
That's awesome. Laurie, this is why I'm so happy that it's you talking to us today because I do think that you have had from the beginning in your engagement with us this vision about like where you want to go, what are the improvements you want, because you know what you want, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
So it's interesting the thing you said. So we've been thinking about this as well. Just how can we do things like upsell? Very important. A lot of folks do ask us about it. And so one of the things we're trying out, let me just pull up my dashboard again. There is so hidden away, like you said, some things are a little less obvious. So within the business configuration, which we're now rolling out to everybody, there's actually a couple of things in here, like for example, workflows. So workflows is an advanced setting. So we don't necessarily introduce everyone to it from the get-go, but you can do a couple of cool things here. Like for example, in the new booking flow, so you can see these are kind of the common things that people call for. The basic flows are like new booking, rescheduling, confirm booking, cancel booking, things like that. And you can go in and edit things like you can add a condition like if something, then something, or you can add a guideline which is just, hey, Brooke, do this thing. And I'm really excited about trying this out. This is a little bit more experimental. This is also a beta feature, and we've got it a bit hidden under advanced. But we're really curious about how people are going to use this because I'm reasonably confident that this can be used for things like upsell. Now we have to work together and figure out how to best kind of put this in. If someone is trying to book this service, then recommend the new stylist whose name is whatever.
Mm,
Simple things like that. And I feel like what we're trying to achieve, and I think we're making real progress now, is having these little places within the dashboard where it's just kind of dead simple. You can just add, just like you said, right? If this, then that, and just have an instruction like that. And so we're working on stuff like this, and I'm curious
okay.
to see how people end up using it. But
So
coming back,
that's actually great, Jyoti, because I think in the very beginning, I had asked you, one of the challenges that we have is when a client, for a while, we had our color services turned off
yes.
because it was difficult to figure out if a new client was trying to book an appointment, we really need for them to fill out a consultation form.
Hmm.
And I'd love to get on a call maybe tomorrow or whenever, sooner than
Yeah.
later, to go through that so that I could really tailor that because that sounds like that could take care of that.
For sure. Yeah, let's talk about that. And see, that's not a use case that we might have specifically thought about, but that's
Yeah.
very exciting. So yeah, we can definitely talk about that. So I want to also just go back to, something interesting that you said. You mentioned that Brooke is always in a good mood. I love that. I don't think we think about like when we develop this kind of tool, we do so much testing. Like for me, it's like all of the test calls, start to sound the same after a point. But sometimes we really have to make that gear shift and put ourselves in the shoes of someone calling, and like it's fresh, right? When people aren't calling you, like one person is going to call you maybe once in a month or something. And as long as there's consistency and they get that feeling of freshness, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, Let me see. I want to ask you, you mentioned you already talked a little bit about, the process of trying it out and so on. What do you feel like is something that Brooke has enabled for you that wasn't possible for you before?
Uh, Not worrying about having somebody at the desk to answer the phone
Mm-hmm.
and really stressing about having someone at the desk with experience. Like, perfect example is we were able to hire a college kid who was a client this
Mm-hmm.
summer, and he was awesome, but I didn't have to worry about teaching him how to book appointments. You know, I was able to really train him and onboard and stress the importance of, showing up on time when a client walks in, have a
Mm-hmm.
smile. What do they want to drink? Offer them a beverage, take their coat if needed, make sure you're checking them out properly. Like I could really hone in on those people skills. Um, and he took it upon himself to really learn the booking and figure it out. So again, when I lost my girl, who was great, I was like, normally I would have been very stressed out about that.
Hmm.
Um, and I was just like, okay, bye. Like it really took it, Brooke, I feel, has taken a lot of weight off my shoulders. Um, and yeah, I think it's been cool. I think it's just, I mean, my 26-year-old daughter hates it, but she's 26 and there's the whole AI situation with the newer generation. But I feel that as an Aveda salon owner, I am totally balancing my carbon footprint. It is what it is. It's not going anywhere. And I just think our clients really like it. And
Hmm.
it's been, again, it's been just, I feel much more calm. And this new feature with being able to contact clients when someone is not going to be in, I'm looking forward to putting that into action as well because I'm usually the person that makes those calls,
Hmm.
at like 7 in the morning when I hear from my employee who can't make it
Yeah.
in for whatever reason. Um, and I'm excited about the announcements as well because, we used to leave a message on our answering machine when we were closed for vacation.
Hmm.
So we weren't able to do that. Uh, but now we can. So it's awesome.
There's so much stuff that you talked about in there. I want to touch on many, many things that you just said. So, for starters, I think we take very seriously concerns about AI and so on. And I think candidly, after having, spent some time with owners like yourself, and we do spend a lot of time talking to people, understanding their needs. Our goal has always been to create that sense of calm and to, be a supplement to the front desk rather than a replacement for it, right? And I think it sounds like we've made some headway there. And, as far as achieving those goals, AI is a means to an end. And, that is the technology that's available right now. But, AI is only a small part of it, right? Like another part of Brook is making the dashboard be something that you can actually use. So it's not like this overwhelming, like, a tech tool. It's something that's easy and, we're easy to access and we can improve it quickly as well. But also like the thing you mentioned about something about the answering machine, I wanted to just ask, I thought a lot about voicemail and because I personally just don't like voicemail at all. I know that people have very strong reactions to that too. Do you have a sense of like how that has changed, just process, like how people used to reach you? Did people leave voicemails? Like how has that
Yes.
impacted?
Yes. People left voicemails. I I find it much more effective to be able to look at a transcript than to have to keep hitting repeat, 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 which is sometimes what happens because even though our voicemail would say, please speak clearly and slowly, it's like, hi, my name is Lori. I want to make an appointment with Mariella. My number is 20174. And you're just like, what the F? So it's great to have I love a transcript. I love it because, you know, our clients sometimes they just like to lie about things, you know? So it's just great to have a transcript and be like, well, okay. That's not really how it went down, but okay. Um,
I think that's fair. I mean, look, as a business owner, there are just so many things happening. You're trying to protect yourself, you're trying to protect your crew. So absolutely, but something you said in there is very validating for us as the people who designed it. Is we always had this feeling that listening to the audio takes like just way more time. Like
yeah,
even if you can speed it up and things like that, which you often can't do you can't do 2x speed on an answering
yeah,
machine.
right.
So that's interesting to hear that, from people who are using it. I'm curious also about, like we've made some assumptions recently about texting, and I don't know if we've necessarily talked about it, you and me. So how do you feel about like Brooke handling texting? Is that something relevant to hair cult? I don't know if you have a lot of people texting you.
So we will see how it works because right now we are Mac people. So we uh we have iMessage. So
Mm-hmm.
not everybody has an iPhone. So
Yeah, I don't. This is
now
a big problem.
we will see. So when we can't get through on an iPhone, or with our iMessage, sometimes the front desk, especially if I'm not in the salon, they don't want to text from their phone, and I would never expect them to, but I do from mine. But if I'm not in the salon, they won't bother me with it, or they feel they don't want to bother me with it until I ask, "Hey, why isn't this confirmed?" And then they'll be like, "Oh, they had an Android." So then I will text. But let's see. I turned on the confirmation thing and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna ask people now these next couple of days, as they come in to see. I noticed that there's one client who never, ever, ever confirms. He never answers our calls, never responds to our text messages. But it looks like Brooke got a confirmation from him, which is kind of
Oh,
amazing.
wow, wow, that's awesome.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, it must have been Brooke. It looks like Brooke said she got an answer and it's confirmed. So that's kind of awesome. Um, but
Laurie, I'm gonna say also the outbound calls are gonna show up in your analytics section.
yeah,
I
so
can.
I was looking at that. That's how I know
Okay,
it's
perfect.
confirmed. I was
Awesome.
like, wow, look at that. Robert never confirms. We just assume and know he's a regular client. He's always going to come in because we have a strict cancellation policy. If someone doesn't confirm, if the appointments aren't confirmed at 24 hours when they get the text message, then we call,
Hmm.
we text, which if they have an Android, we can't through our iMessage.
Hmm.
So that would be helpful to be able to do it through Brooke. Um, and we email.
Hmm.
And sometimes even that we can't get a confirmation. And
Hmm.
then they know that if we leave the message saying, if we don't hear back from you within the next 4 to 5 hours, maybe by the end of the day, depending how long the service is, you know, we don't want to have to cancel your appointment, but we will be canceling your appointment. And
Yeah.
sometimes we've canceled appointments and they call immediately and they say, you just canceled my appointment.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
well, we've been trying to get in contact with you.
Hmm.
So um, let's see. Maybe Brooke might have an easier time getting confirmations. Obviously, it seems like she did with this one.
That's so great to hear, Laurie. It's interesting, right? These are actually pretty kind of awkward conversations sometime, right? And again, this is like from the business owner's perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's completely valid. I mean, what are you going to do? They didn't confirm. You are
Right.
perfectly within your rights to cancel that. And some of those decisions and communication about that, paradoxically might actually be easier on both ends. Like it might be easier to, like if you have a young receptionist, which they're always very young, right?
Mhm.
They need to sort of learn the ropes, and Brooke can sort of just deliver the message in the
Right.
tone that you want, and that's that. And there
Right.
isn't a person then for your client to
That
potentially,
feels bad.
yeah,
Absolutely.
or
Yes. And
anything.
we do tell them we just want to avoid, we want to avoid having if they don't cancel the appointment and they don't show up, they're charged 100% of the service, and
Mhm.
we want to avoid that. That's
Mhm.
not how we make our money. We have a wait list of people sometimes that
Absolutely.
are happy to take up the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then as we talked about, it will just free up the front desk to to sell retail and, walk around and engage more with our guests. But even better for me and my cash flow and my bottom line is now I don't have to, pay someone a lot of money to be at the desk just because they have a little bit of experience. Like I can hire a barista who makes really great cappuccino.
I think that would be amazing. It's interesting how many things are possible, if people get freed up a little or your budget gets freed up a little. That's a lovely like lateral suggestion. Okay, I want to take a quick look at the text. Folks, I don't know if we said this, maybe we didn't, but if you do have questions and you're here watching, please do put them in the chat. I know that some folks already did put messages in here. You got some kudos from Timothy Belcher here. We have, oh, so Laurie, you put in a comment here as well. This is important. So, a good note from you, are these new features at any additional cost? For now, we have released all of these features to our existing clients as a beta. So, a lot of what we come up with, we release as enhancements to the product.
Right.
And
Which
so
is
it's almost
amazing, Jyoti, because again, and I know I speak for everyone who's on here today. Like whenever a company calls or sends an email about like a new feature, it's like I hate asking like what's it going to cost, but it
like,
always costs something.
mhm,
And
mhm.
it sucks when you have to like, oh, I'd really love to have that, confirmation call feature. That would be amazing for me, but it's going to be an additional like $99,
Mhm.
So I'm super, super grateful. Thank you so much that you guys are rolling these extra features out. And, if it means that it's happening for the people who are using Rosie right now, well, then everybody better get off this call and just call Rosie and get on with it because you're going to love it. Trust me.
Awesome. Thanks, Laurie. There's a couple of other comments, I think. So, Valencia Munoz has some suggestions. Uh, Hi, Valencia. We've spoken before. Mass texting, that's interesting. So, texting guests for a day, letting them know of traffic, parking issues, events happening in our area that may cause traffic. So, I think. This is an interesting use case which is very similar to the ones we have. We've been very narrowly focused on like calling people to reschedule if a provider's out or you've closed the salon for the day. But we can absolutely think about mass texting as well. Like just let people know, hey, heads up, everything is still going as normal. You still have your appointment, but if there's a parade in the street or something, right? I think that's a very interesting suggestion. And other mass texting. So, what I'm hearing is not just outbound calling, but outbound texting and outbound text campaigns. Right. Thank you for those suggestions. Vinay, you're here. Vinay is our CEO of Brook, and if you'd like to maybe hop in and ask your question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jyoti. And thank you, Laurie. This is a fascinating conversation, and we are so grateful for this. So I was curious. So one of the ways I was thinking about from a business standpoint, right? So I'd like to know what are those leads? What are those opportunities that I'm probably missing out on? Because when we first started out with Brooke, one of the first thesis was we want to capture those conversations or calls that are coming in but being missed. So now they're also taking it a step further with the transcripts and the dashboard. You can see that somebody's trying to call in, they're looking for a specific time slot or a stylist and not available, and they choose not to move forward with the booking. In my mind, that's an opportunity, right? To for somebody to come and say, okay, let me reach out to Jonathan and see what he's looking for. Maybe I can squeeze them in, or maybe I can see if I can bring them into the books for another day. So, is this something that you're thinking about, Laurie, on how to leverage some of these conversations and convert those into additional bookings?
That's actually what happens if I see that someone is in there, they haven't booked, but you know, they want to switch an appointment or they don't see that they can't because Brooke probably can't when she sees what's happening in the book in the moment. I usually will contact people or now the front desk knows when they see that, they can look at the book. And if they don't see that there's a conversation about it, if even if the client hasn't booked an appointment, we will call them back and just say, hey, we noticed that you left us a message, how can we help? Unfortunately, solicitors are figuring out how to get through, which is kind of annoying, but we don't call them back.
That's an interesting
Hmm.
segue. It could be a feature where Brooke figures out if it's a solicitor or
Yeah.
somebody unwanted, right? So no,
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we
that's great.
definitely use it for what you're saying, Vinay. We use it. We're like, okay, great. Like anybody that leaves a message, if they haven't booked anything, we contact them. Like, how can we help? What do you need?
Yeah, it'll be great to track some kind of a metric around, how many of those actually becomes a positive conversion, right? So that's value right there,
Mm.
which is
Mm.
great. And the other thing that I've heard anecdotally, and you can respond to this if it makes sense. Often in the past, without Brooke, and if a phone rings and you're answering, you are, or even if you're responding to voicemails, right? You have to go through, if you have 20 voicemails, you have to go through all of them one by one. One of the key values that somebody expressed to me was with Brooke, I can get back to responding when I'm available, and I can prioritize my day depending upon what's happening. Previously, it was either or. If I miss it, I lose it. But now I can let Brooke handle it, and I can go back and review, and I can engage. I can plan my execution accordingly. Do you see that happen? Like that people are actually more relaxed in handling and getting back to customer outreach?
Um, I mean, I think what I'm getting is, I mean, when I I check Brooke throughout the weekend, even when I'm not in the salon, randomly. And if I see something's there, I respond. I mean, when you see something, you respond to it. I don't want people to fall asleep. You know, she's already answered and had a conversation. So if
Mm-hmm.
there's something for us to respond to,
Mm-hmm.
no, there's no reason for us to wait.
Oh, so I mean, on that note, I'll actually make another plug. So with the new refresh dashboard, it is, I don't know if Jyoti mentioned this earlier, but it's mobile enabled. So you can actually bring it up on your mobile phone and browser, and it shows really nicely, and you can operate it from there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I have it on my mobile phone.
Awesome.
So
I
I'm,
thank you, Vinay.
I check it. I'm like, it's like my, instead of getting on Instagram, I'm on Brooke.
Honestly so amazing to hear. Thank you, Vinay, for hopping in. And of course, I knew I would forget something. This is really important. It's a little bit hard to show you, so I didn't get to showcase it today. But yes, we did hear. These are things that we don't really know, right? Like because we don't run the salons, we of course talk to people, but we still sometimes miss some little nuance. So, like what you're saying is like you might be off the clock, but you want the ability to take a quick look at
Yeah,
something, a mobile version of the
yeah,
dashboard, right? So we heard from a lot of folks that initially the dashboard was not very friendly to use on your cell phone, and we're working on this like screen by screen. So the follow-up section is now a lot friendlier, and we're really like transforming this so that it makes it very easy for anybody to use anywhere. And I mean, especially in the salon or spa as well, most folks are like they're walking around and doing various things. They're not chained to the desk, right? So people want that
right.
mobility. Yeah.
And I can, if you turn it to the side, it's it transfers better.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn my phone to the side and then I can see it
Mm-hmm.
more like it looks on the desktop.
You're doing all our beta testing for
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah. Hanging out by the pool on Brook. I'm like, ooh, you look at the analytics and I mean, that's what we want, right? As owners, we want to be able to have these things that we can use where we don't have to be tied to a laptop or, you know, you can be on a plane and you can check in,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just makes our jobs easier.
That's very good to hear. I'm curious about just a few other things I'm seeing in the chat. A very interesting point. So, other suggestions that are coming up, I just want everyone to hear them too, and we'll definitely bring these back as well. So, it sounds like we should start thinking about lost guest campaigns. This has come up earlier as well. It's like someone who had an appointment 6 months ago and then they never came in, especially with color clients. It's easy to sort of tell like when they were due and why didn't they come in, and or like in this example that Valencia shared in the chat. We could think about reaching out and say, this is your stylist, the person you saw last time. Would you like to come in? There's a booking, there's an opening for this week, something like that. So, very good suggestion. There's also a question about now that Brook does two-way texting, what about other tools that you might be using in your business already? I would say for questions like that, let's talk. I'd love to talk about, the other sort of solutions that people use for text-based campaigns and so on. It really varies a lot by tool and by subscription, right? Like what type of functions are you getting from your other tools? And we are always open to having a conversation about where Brook can help you out, and maybe we could figure out a plan together about like having Brook supplement these functions. So a lot of these things are, you have to just sort of talk about it and figure it out as you go. But yes, if there's questions about that, I think I'd be very interested to have those conversations with all of you about like, this is our very specific and unique situation. Here's the like 3 or 4 tools that we use, and we could even think about a custom implementation that is just for your business.
I'm curious what POS system, what software Valencia uses. Because I
Um,
know that with Forest, which we use very often, at least once a week, my front desk. And I know when I used Salon Biz, and I believe Mevo does as well, there is a feature or a report. Um, Forest makes it very easy where in their marketing, I can go in and I think it's like reconnect with clients, and I
mhm,
can go
mhm,
in there and they make a list and they categorize it for color, cuts, that people that we haven't seen, we have it set to 90 days. You can probably set
mhm,
it to 6 months. And then you can actually automatically, you can click who you want to send it to, because you might see someone and know that they've moved, whatever.
mhm,
And you can actually send them an email right from that screen and send it right to them for a lost guest to have them come in.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I think that's interesting, the context behind this. And I think definitely people are coming from the standpoint of their various booking platforms. Valencia is using Salon Biz, and we're just getting started with Salon Biz. So we're definitely getting started with the basic suite of features. And these are all very exciting avenues that we're very interested in exploring. So, having said that, I think we're basically like coming to a close in terms of time. So, I want to invite anyone who might have a quick final question to put it in the chat. In the meantime, I'm just going to put this on the screen once again. So if you are interested in checking us out and you're just sort of shopping around trying to figure this out, please go and visit our website, iambrook.com. If this has been a useful webinar for you and you're like, I'm ready to start my free trial, that QR code goes directly to our free trial page. I am going to maybe stick around for another 5 to 10 minutes if anybody wanted to ask any further questions, but I just want to say this has been an incredible and very from the heart, frank discussion. And Laurie, I just love the energy you brought, and I'm so grateful that you shared your real and true experiences with us. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I, it's all very true. This is an unpaid visit.
Yes.
Yeah, and I really think it's awesome, and I think at the very least everybody should at least do a 2 week or 1 or 2 week trial, whatever you guys are offering.
All right, awesome. I think that's a great note to close on. Thank you, everyone, and have a
Thank
great day.
you.
Hi, Kate.
Hello. Looks like we still have about 8 people in here if there are any more questions that we want to ask. There's some coming in.
Yeah, okay. So let me see. Is there a limit on the amount of outbound text messages that we're allowed to send? So far, we don't have limits, but this is kind of the thing, the sort of information that we're trying to learn about how people use stuff like outbound texting. This is why some of these features are released as beta, just so we try to understand what average volumes are and things like that. So our philosophy has been don't start with a limit. Sort of do a learning process and see what utility is like, what usage patterns are like, and take it from there. So far, no limits. Okay, there was a question. I know AI can be very polarizing. I am curious if you had an environmental impact report. Are there any company program? That is very interesting. Thank you for that question. At the moment, this is something we're thinking about, but we haven't been able to take action yet, honestly, because we're a small startup. So, but I think that is a point very well taken, and we will definitely continue to think about that in the future as well. All right, I'm just seeing if we missed anything. Okay. I think we may be good.
Yeah, it looks like most people have jumped off. If there are any last questions, we're going to wrap up in just a minute, but looks like most people have left. So thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right. Thank you. I think I will pop off as well. All right. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.